In this video, we are going to convert something that looks like this into something that looks like this. Okay, so we don't quite want to graph them, but you can see that there's some similarities. Now, basically what you were doing in the last video, when you were shifting it, you should have noticed that this HK actually is the vertex. So this HK turns out to be the vertex of the parabola. So when we're shifting it, I'm basically having the vertex. Now, when we want to convert this to this, what we're going to do is the dreadful completing the square. All right, so that's what we want to do. So let's just jump in and start doing the problem, because we know how to complete the square. So here's my example. And what we want to say is convert to f of x is equal to ax minus h whole quantity squared plus k. That's what we want to convert it. So part A. Let's say we had f of x is equal to negative 3x squared minus 12x minus 5. So let's convert that to this type of form, this vertex form. All right, so completing the square, if you remember, we want to have all the x's on one side and all the numbers on the other side. So let me move this 5 over. Just move it over. So this goes away. So you're going to have f of x plus 5 equals negative 3x squared minus 12x. So I put the number on the other side, don't worry about that f of x, and then I have all the x's here. Now, if you remember with completing the square, we want to take out anything that's in front of the x squared. In this case, this is negative 3. So I have this f of x plus 5, which isn't really doing anything, and I'm going to take out this negative 3 out. So you have x squared. When I took out a negative 3 from here, I got a positive 4x. All right? So that's what I ended up getting. Now, with this 4, remember that if you forgot the completing the square, just go back to the video. What you want to do is you want to identify your b term, divide it by 2, and then square it. So what you're going to get is 2 squared, which is going to give me 4. So that means that this is the thing that I'm going to add. So I'm going to have f of x. So let me write it in a different color. So what you're going to write is f of x plus 5, and then you're going to have this negative 3 x squared plus 4x. Now what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to add this 4. All right, I'm going to add this 4 here. Now, do I have to add a 4 here? No, because remember, I'm not just adding a 4, I'm also multiplying it by this negative 3. So I'm going to add the 4 times this negative 3. Okay, so it's very similar to what we were doing last time. So I'm going to get f of x. So let me just do a couple things here. So 5 plus 4 times negative 3 is going to give me a negative 7. It's equal to, whoops, what happened to my thing? It's equal to negative 3. And then this is just a perfect square. X plus 2 whole quantity squared. Right, and all I got to do now is just move the 7 over. Plus 7. Plus 7. This is going to go away. So f of x is equal to negative 3 x plus 2 squared plus 7. That is my final answer. So I finally converted it to that thing. And notice that here I can actually figure out what the vertex is. My vertex is just going to be whatever those numbers are. Now remember, this thing is always going to be the opposite. So it's going to be negative 2, 7 if you really want to figure out the vertex. Okay. All right, so let's do one more problem like this, because we kind of are good with completing the square. It's just rearranging everything. So let's say now we have f of x is equal to 2x squared minus 12x plus 7. So you can try this out if you'd like, or you can watch me do it. So the first thing that you want to do is let's move this 7 over. So you're going to have f of x minus 7 is equal to 2x squared minus 12x. So now we want to go ahead and get rid of this coefficient in front of the x squared. So you have f of x minus 7 is equal to 2x squared. I'm going to take out a 2 from here, minus 6x. Now we can identify our b value. That's going to be negative 6 divided by 2, whole quantity squared. That's going to give me a negative 3 squared, which gives me a 9. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this f of x minus 7, and I'm going to have this 2x squared minus 6x. And here I'm going to add this 9. So plus 9. Now when I put it over there, I'm not just going to add a plus 9. I'm going to add a plus 9 times whatever's on the outside, which in this case is a 2. So now I have f of x, and then I'm going to take negative 7 and add it to 9 times 2, which is 18. It's going to give me positive 11 equals 2. And then this is just a perfect square, which is just x minus 3 squared. And now I finally just minus 11 to both sides, and I get f of x is equal to 2x minus 3 squared minus 11. And that's the final answer. Okay.